Good morning, everyone. Today we have a couple of excellent presentations for you, but first, who's here for the first time? You can raise your hand. Welcome! Nice to have you, Mr. Lane. It's always a pleasure. Who here would consider themselves an entrepreneur, a small business owner? Hal, I see you there. Anyone else? Excellent. That's who we like to see here. Each week we do the same thing. We have two 6 to 8 minute presentations followed by 20 minutes of question and answer. During the Q&A, you'll see myself, Chad, and Devin running the microphones. Raise your hand if you have a question. We'll bring you the microphone. Stand if you'd like so that we can get you on the camera, and that's for the benefit of our wonderful presenters today. So without further ado, I'd like to give a warm welcome to Dawn Mansky from Made for Freedom. They made the trip all the way from St. Louis, so let's make her feel welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Dawn Mansky, founder of Made for Freedom. It was January 26th, Republic Day in India, a day of ceremonious parades and celebration. I was invited with some friends of mine to celebrate this day with a group of young ladies. There were 60 of them. And in spite of the language differences, we were able to share stories, make jewelry, and I was able to teach them some essential English vocabulary. Head, shoulders, knees, toes, knees and toes, knees and toes. Everyone was laughing and smiling and enjoying the day, with the exception of one girl in the back of the room who was completely despondent. The girls in this home all had things in common, such as they were all between the ages of 13 and 16. They all had been tricked by someone, deceived, or taken from their homes, sold as sex slaves into brothels, been rescued and brought to this safe house. The girl in the back of the room found out that day that her family did not want her back. This was not the beginning of Made for Freedom. This was the culmination of 3 disparate ideas coming together. And that was a passion of mine to do something to fight sex trafficking. The idea of social enterprise, using business strategies to benefit people, and a pair of really fun pants from Thailand. And now you're saying, pants? Yes, pants. It started with a pair of pants that I found in Thailand that I had never seen before. I loved them. They were super comfortable. One size fits many. I brought them back from Thailand, couldn't find them anywhere else. And after a few years, I actually ran into this incredibly handsome man and ended up marrying him. And, and for the wedding, I received a gift from him, and that was a pair of sandals that helped me start understanding what social enterprise is. And it was sandals that were made by women in Uganda, and the proceeds helped them further their education. And another gift that I received for my wedding was an additional 5 pairs of these pants that I thought was the most amazing thing. And I started getting compliments. After more compliments than I could even count from women commenting on my pants and saying, "Where did you get those? Those are so unique. Those are they look so comfortable." I started thinking, I could start a job. I could start a business selling these pants. They were called fisherman pants. And then I remembered, I have 4 jobs, and I just got married. Maybe it's not time to start a business. But the more I started thinking about social enterprise and continued getting compliments about these pants, I thought, could these pants be the foundation of a business that could help people? And with this passion and with the things I was learning about sex trafficking, that was the beginning of Made for Freedom. So I dropped a few jobs, I kept my husband, and that was the beginning. What we did was we took the fisherman pant and we changed the pattern. Traditional fisherman pants are incredibly baggy in the back, somewhat resembling a diaper. We got rid of that. So we changed the pattern, therefore we had to change the name, and the name of the pants is now Korea Belly, which is taken from all of the words in Creating a Beautiful Life. I am the founder, but by no means am I doing this alone. I have amazing advisors. I have a management team and project teams that help with all of these things, as well as survivors of sex trafficking that manufacture our products. Our key activities are working with restorative centers, manufacturing, distributing, marketing, advocacy, and 20% of our net profit goes back to provide life skills and job training. We have found that the root causes of sex trafficking lie primarily in these three areas: lack of support, lack of financial independence, and lack of support from your family, and devaluation of the girl child. In all of our key activities, we are fighting against the root causes of sex trafficking and trying to raise awareness and provide solutions that will help women around the world. Our manufacturing takes place in Thailand with a center that provides a restorative program for survivors of sex trafficking and marginalized women. So at this point, our pants, and we have bags on the way, are being manufactured in Thailand. We have t-shirts that are made at a restorative center for sex trafficking survivors in Calcutta, India. We are also beginning relationships with centers in Ghana, Cambodia, Cameroon, an additional center in Thailand, and an additional center in India, working with centers that are helping women in difficult situations that would very easily be exploited because they are vulnerable. Our distribution is wholesale through boutiques. We have product in these locations and a few others. One of the things that the boutiques love about the pants is that one size fits many. We actually have created two sizes. We have a fit A and a fit B, but because you only have two sizes needed for a 00 to a 16, they have very little inventory, and that keeps their lean and mean inventory. We have small minimum orders. We're a new company. People don't know who we are, so they're taking a risk with us. We appreciate that, but because we have small orders, it's not a huge commitment on their part. And aligning with a cause allows them to attract the socially conscious consumer. We also sell online. We distribute online. This is our website. We have customers that come from different places and different areas of the country. What they appreciate about the pants is the comfort, the unique style, and the fact that they know that this purchase is helping women. Our marketing at this point is very high-tech, state-of-the-art. We're driving around the country meeting people face-to-face. So the month of August, we spent 20 days, my husband and I spent 20 days in my Honda Civic with a lot of product, driving over 5,000 miles, visiting over 17 cities, talking to hundreds of people, telling them about Made for Freedom, telling them about our product, and getting our product into boutiques around the country. Oh, that was this loop up here. November, we're going to take the West Coast, and then January, and then the South, and we are also connecting with 1 Million Cups groups around the country. So that's the little cups that are represented. Those are 1 Million Cups groups. Just to get into boutiques and to help people understand what we're doing and to get in, meet them face to face. The next big thing for us, a little overwhelming, a little scary, I gotta say. There is a show on PBS called Startup, and they got a hold of our story, and they came and they taped, and we are going to be aired across the nation late October and November. I'm not sure if we're ready for that as far as production and manufacturing, but it's a good problem to have, and we're excited. One of the things that we have found, one of the best things that has happened thus far is the fact that we have placed orders, and because of the way we are manufacturing, before we ever sold a product, we had already provided over 700 hours of dignified employment. The center that we are working with in Thailand that provides employment for sex trafficking survivors has hired more women because of the orders we're placing. And that's our entire goal, is to provide dignified employment for women so they can lift themselves out of poverty, provide for themselves, provide for their families, and contribute to their communities. Korea Belly, creating a beautiful life. We're creating a fashion movement, creating jobs around the world, creating economic empowerment in hopes of creating a beautiful life for women that have struggled and have been through very difficult things. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dawn.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
The pants. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, I like them. I've used them before as a yogi. And some buddies who come back from India bring them back. How do you feel about having to educate the marketplace about a new style of pants? And as the skinny jeans come more into fashion and people want to show off their lower halves, tell me about that process of having to educate the consumer on the comfortability of this new style.
It's very much a preference thing. And there are people that say, I would never wear those. And I'm okay with that. That's fine with me. We are broadening our product line. There are people that will say, I love what you're doing, I want to help, but I don't like your pants. Okay, that's why we're making purses. That's why we have t-shirts, and we're broadening our product line so that you can help provide dignified employment even if you don't like the pants. But there are tons of people that love the pants. I love the pants. That doesn't mean that creates a market, but we walk in, we were trying to just take a break at a Starbucks on our last road trip. I was exhausted. Went into a Starbucks, I was like, I just need 30 minutes. I need 30 minutes to just compose myself. And we walked in, and the 4 baristas, 2 of them said, oh my gosh, tell me about those pants. Those are so cool. And we ended up selling a pair of pants to one of the baristas at the Starbucks. Didn't get a rest at all. But there are people that just come out of the woodwork and they're like, oh my gosh, tell me about your pants. I want some pants. And with that, can I segue into, this is the thing, this seems strange, but I do this all the time, so don't worry. I have to show you how the pants work, which means I'm going to slip that into there. Okay, so one size fits many. I saw some of the ladies in the room, I saw some of the ladies going, no, they can't fit a 00 to 16, but they do. So 00 to 16, it works. And so one of the things, like that's really great for boutiques. Sorry, this is a little hard with the wire. So you just fold them over. There are a couple different ways to fold them, to tie them. And the thing that is good for boutiques is that, wow, I'm having a hard time here. The thing with boutiques is that they only have to carry 2 sizes because one size fits many. But the beautiful thing is they also fit you through many different stages or all through the holidays. So from November to January, they fit. Oh.
This is my line too, and they work for men too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And men wear them as well.
And I should mention, the marketing trends actually show that wide leg pants are coming back this next year. So
Right.
Okay.
skinny jeans are going out.
Skinny jeans, I just got
All right.
I just got an article from The Gap. I'm not sure if it was The Gap, but someone has stopped ordering skinny jeans. Just saying.
Well, we'll try to be the first adopters here.
Oh, sorry. They are 100% cotton.
So Don, tell me, 20%
Yes.
of your profits are going back. I would say that that's higher than a lot of the other social enterprises, and I foresee that as being a challenge to your operations. So you're really focusing on 2 bottom lines. You have the bottom line of producing enough revenue to sustain your business, and then the other bottom line is ensuring that your cause is met adequately. How have you overcome the challenges of giving back enough to each of the bottom line where you feel satisfied that you're furthering your mission?
I would say that's probably going to be easier to answer in a year or 2. Yeah. We are still very much in startup phase. We got our first order of pants in March of this year. So we still have product from the original order. So as we continue to ramp up, then it'll be taking 20% of the net profit and getting that back. But even without that 20%, people have asked, are you giving that 20% to the same women that made the pants? And not necessarily. That if you provide a good job with a good wage, Those women don't necessarily need the handout anymore. They are self-sustaining. That we're not paying poverty wages, we're not going to sweatshops. We ensure that the women get paid a good wage and then they can support themselves. So it's on both ends, actually.
One thing from a marketing perspective that I immediately noticed was they look like they would make good maternity pants as well. And so I think that's, if you haven't, I think that's a great market because you expand and contract very rapidly and it's very frustrating to buy 5 pairs of pants throughout 1 year. So that's immediately what jumped out to me. One question I had was, as a very tall person, how do you solve the length problem?
I have found, especially talking to people and saying I was starting a business making pants, tall women are very vocal. With good reason. You cannot add fabric. Like short women that are very vocal, I'm like, come on, you can always cut it off. But you cannot add fabric. I totally get it. This is the regular length, but because I have so many tall friends that were just begging and pleading that we have long pants, we have regular and then we have long, which is 6 inches longer. And my husband doesn't, he has longer legs than I do. So that accommodates the men that have longer legs, but also women. And we made them plenty long. I think we made them plenty long. If you're 7'6", probably not long enough, but other than that, probably gonna be okay.
I have 3 things that I wanted to say. One is Oprah's favorite things. Perfect item for that, and I'm sure they've already set it up for this year. The other is that Tom's did an online mall, an online market that was all related to companies that have a giving component like this. So that might be a great outlet for you too to use online, and then the world's yours. There's also a company in Kansas City called Seco, S-E-K-K-O. Is that your sandals?
Those are my S-S-E-K-O.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
it. Because I could see partnerships where you could at the very least be linking to each other's sites. Are you using a website to sell goods?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've connected with Liz. We haven't gotten that partnership yet, but she's part of my story. I mean, those are the sandals that helped me think about social enterprise. That is a good idea.
Hi.
Hi.
First off, I love the pants. They're
you.
really popular in Spain and kind of like lower Europe, so I would definitely be interested in buying it, by the way.
Okay.
Okay, so there's quite a few organizations that are there to help end sex trafficking, and I was wondering, do you see yourself ever combining with them? Do you see them as like a competitor? I mean, you're all towards the same goal, really, the same passion. I can think of a couple, Love 146, End It, Nefarious Project.
Right.
There's quite a couple. How do you feel about it?
I don't see them as competition at all. I mean, we all are trying to fight this horrible evil. I have tried to connect with some of them. Until recently, we really have been an unknown. Not that we're known, but we did connect with Not for Sale, which is another very large organization. They want to partner. And even with the products that we have, we are partnering. So we are just trying to provide the avenue for this, but we're looking at the centers that are helping these women, but also looking to co-brand and partner with the organizations that are established. But thank you.
Just curious about your continued growth strategy. Have you looked at that? I'm assuming there's probably not an exit plan to this business. It seems like it's something that is close to your heart that you probably want to grow and keep. But just curious about your future growth strategy.
It's a good question, thank you. In a lot of business competitions, they ask you up front, what's your exit? And I've had a ton of people say, oh, you need to go on Shark Tank. But I can't imagine that I would take a deal from one of those people because you get 70% of my company are you going to put these women first? And that's what Made for Freedom is about. So no, the exit strategy is not to sell it out to someone who's not going to take care of these women. We probably will be in this for the long haul. And as we grow, we're partnering with additional centers. I like the distributed manufacturing model, so that if one center is having problems, we're relying on multiple centers. Is that going to be enough for quick growth? Possibly not, but we're finding more and more centers. There's one in Cambodia. They have 200 sewers, and they would be able to do some turnaround. If we got a huge order, we might consider going to a factory that is RAP certified, that provides good employment to turn around, and then we would kind of do a brand split. So Korea Belly, Creating a Beautiful Life, that would stick with products that are made by survivors and marginalized women. If we were to work with other manufacturers, we would brand that a bit differently, but 20% would still go to life skills and job training. But at this point, we haven't had to do that. And I'm hoping that the manufacturing centers will be able to handle the load.
I have a couple questions. First, what do the pants retail at?
59.
Okay. And then have you made appointments for some boutiques here in Springfield?
We have a couple that we're going to visit, but if you have suggestions.
There's one in downtown Springfield that has kind of a social cause link with it.
Okay.
That would be good, and I can't remember the name of it. It's 5 Pound Apparel. Yes, 5 Pound Apparel.
What?
It's called 5 Pound Apparel.
Okay, great. We will visit. Thank you.
I have one question. When I first saw your husband when I came in, I thought they were scrubs, so that's very interesting. When I look at you, I can definitely tell they're not scrubs. So with the shirt pulled down, looks great, man. I wear scrubs on occasion too, so question would be, have you targeted the medical profession yet?
We have not yet. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend that's a doctor, and I have checked with her about that. The thing with scrubs is because of the tie in particular, I'm afraid they would get the tie might get caught in stuff as you're trying to stay sanitized. And it may be that we will expand to other types of product that would work better as scrubs later on, but these we didn't feel would actually be appropriate for that market.
Well, not that I would disagree, but being a chiropractor, there's 70,000 of us in this country. And there's expos all around. I mean, there's Missouri State Chiropractic Expo. I mean, the Florida. I mean, you're talking tens of thousands of chiropractors will be here. And if he was to show up, like, I get tired of wearing the same scrubs every day. I'm thinking, my patients are going to think, am I even washing my clothes? So if you had some mixtures up like this, I think it's a great idea. You know, it's variety. I love it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Good idea. I like it.
Yeah.
Any last questions from the audience here?
I was just offering to talk afterwards. My mother-in-law is Cambodian, and they have extensive family in the Missouri area, and if you need help in making inroads, she's retired and she may like to help you out in your cause. That
would be great. Thank you. I would love to.
Well, Don, as we wrap it up here, how can we as a community help you?
If you want a pair of pants, madeforfreedom.com. If you know of a group or an organization that would like to hear more about sex trafficking and what it looks like in the United States, what it looks like around the world, I do presentations. We do trunk shows. We also are building an ambassador program for students and professionals that want to just raise awareness and be advocates. It's not just about the pants, it's not just about product, it's about raising awareness and helping people understand this and seeing an end to it. So if you're interested in any of those, would love to hear from you. Otherwise, watch for the PBS thing and cheer us on.
Excellent, thank you. Great job, thank you very much.
Thank you. Whoops.
Before we jump to the next presenter, we have a couple quick announcements. The MATA, if you guys haven't attended a MATA event, they are the Midwest Alliance for Technology. and they meet here on October 9th at 4:30 p.m. And Sherry Coker is the lady who runs that. She's typically here, but I don't see her today. The PMI, the Project Management Institute Southwest Missouri chapter, is meeting Thursday, October 16th from 6 to 8 p.m. at McAllister's on Battlefield, and the topic of that meeting is decision risk analysis. And then also Refine M is doing an agile training on October 20th, 8:30 to 4:30, and is that here at the E-Factory, and that's NK. If you guys have any questions, he heads that up, and you can find out more information at refinem.com. Also, the Real Estate Investors Group is meeting October 16th at 6 p.m. at Pasta Express, and Sean is here. He heads that up, and if you have any questions, he'd be more than happy to talk to you. And then Adriana Russell with Bodacious Cases. I don't see her here today, but she's usually in and out here a lot. She makes cell phone cases for iPhones that are made in America and have some really cool features. I know some of the people here in the room use that. She is in several different competitions. This one is for Martha Stewart, Made in America. So if you can go on and log into Facebook, just check out Bodacious Cases. She'll come up really quick. And if you have the time to vote for her, I know that would do a lot to boost her business on where it's at. And just a quick shout out, that guy talking about Scrubs has put me back together several times. It's Dr. Lane. He's a really good chiropractor here in town. Our next presenter is really inspirational to me. I just met Chris a couple weeks ago, and I always thought I was really busy with multiple companies and a personal life and stuff like that. This guy's a family man, a husband, a father, full-time doctor in the Air Force, medical as well, and has several companies and several inventions, and is just doing many, many things. And today he's presenting about a product called the Uninsured Wingman, and it's Chris Spinelli.
Thank you for coming this morning and letting us tell your story. I mean, I know everybody's busy. I want to thank Chad and Devin and Sterling for letting us come. And then I do want to send a special thank you out to Dr. Granger. I didn't even know you guys existed. So if it wasn't for Dr. Granger, we actually wouldn't really be here to tell you our story. Our company is the Wingman Multisport. It actually is our sub-company. Our parent company is Genius Happens. That's actually the product development company that he was talking about. A few years ago, we just decided we all had a bunch of ideas. I know a lot of people, luckily they're all smarter than me. And then we had all these ideas, and we wanted to figure we'd probably put them together and kind of get them out there. We didn't just want to leave them in our heads and do nothing with them. So we decided to kind of create this company. And then our first product that we tried to go with was the Wingman. The Wingman actually is an interesting product. It's an interesting story. How we actually came up with the product was our daughter, this is my wife Chris and Jason, they're also in our company. She has some special needs. And so she wasn't able to do a lot of the stuff that she wanted to do. She had poor balance and coordination. She had some strength discrepancies. While her twin brother was running around, tearing up the house, doing everything that he could do, she wanted to do it too, and so she had a hard time. So I couldn't just let her sit in the corner and watch TV. So I have some experience with harness work and stuff from the military, and so I sat down and hand sewed a harness. I came with the design and sewed it for her. I went through a few different variations and then put that on her, and we were able to actually have her kind of stand up and work those balance issues, the coordination issues, and develop some bilateral strength. So she was able to go and do the activity she wanted to do. So we did that for a while. It actually worked really well. She was able to chase her brother around and sometimes beat him up a little bit. So, so it worked so well that when we did come up with Genius Happens, we figured we needed a first product to go with, and so we decided that this one is actually proven, even though the sample size is very small, just my kid, that we would actually try that as the first product that we launched. So that's kind of how we came up with the Wingman. The point of it really is to make a real difference in somebody else's life. This is kind of a product that we use. It really is a product that kind of needs to be out there. Having been in pediatric medicine, I haven't seen something like that out there for small children. She obviously had been going to therapy a lot, and it just hadn't really been there. When we've shown this to a lot of therapists, they've been, where have you been in the last 30 years? And then I just hadn't had really a need to make the thing until then. So that really is our goal, is to make a difference in someone's life. And that can be something as simple as getting them up out of their wheelchair, spending more time with their family out at the park, or having more fun when they're just doing regular activities. How do we do that? We actually just improve an individual's ability to move better than they did before. It's really just that simple. When you put the harness on, if they are really kind of contracted down, then you can kind of lift them up, expand their hip flexors, get them up, feeling actually different proprioception movements, feeling different balances that they hadn't really felt before. Things that we all tend to take for granted that we just kind of learn how to do. Certain individuals aren't able to do that. So that would be in the special needs realm that we would increase that stability. The other thing about the handle is it's actually a variable tension, so you can give them additional support when they need it, and then when they don't, you can relax and let them fully engage into that activity. So you allow them to work harder, and then they get better faster. And athletes are kind of the same way, right? You increase their explosive power and ability with the harness by adding loads to them. And so everybody wants to run faster or hit harder or jump higher. So by using this, you can attach all kinds of stuff to them, and they're able to do that. This is an example of a little girl up in St. Louis. It's a special needs camp. St. Louis Children's is part of that, and they put that on. They've got a bunch of our harnesses. What the therapist is doing here with her is she's got the harness on her, she's pulling her straight up. This little girl typically has canes that she walks with, and she's got a little walker that she moves around in. By getting her out of that and kind of pulling her up, she actually has to feel how it works to stand bilaterally with just her own legs and her own support. It pulls her up so she works her core muscles, and then by hitting that bag all the time that lady's got over there, then it helps her use those muscles and figure out how to do that stability. Where this improves her quality of life and makes her do better is, let's say she's at a birthday party, right? She wants to stand next to everybody up at the table. They're all handing out cups of juice. Well, since she's got the practice and the stability, or even if she's just wearing the harness, she can just simply reach across and grab that cup of juice like every other kid at the party. She doesn't have to have someone around her holding her or actually getting her cup of juice for her. It makes her feel like she's part of the group. She's part of her friends. And then she is able to be shoulder to shoulder with those people and her peers. And so she just feels like it's just the parties. She's just normal like everyone else. So that's actually how that improves her. This is our athlete doing his increasing his explosive speed and power. This is over at CrossFit, actually. The way the harness actually works here, if it drops low, we can actually adjust this back piece. It's not attached. It free floats, so it can come down low. So if you need to lean forward and drive forward, then the weight actually comes off your lower back. A lot of the products that you'll see will be attached to the shoulders, and when you try and run with a parachute or a sled, it pulls you over backwards this way, which is not a natural motion at all. So by leaning forward and driving, you can actually, a very non-restrictive, very comfortable way to pull quite a bit of heavy weight. And we've got this down at the Health Tracks Training Center in town on South. In town, we've got it in the CrossFits. They initially were worried that it would cut into them, but it's wide enough webbing that it's super comfortable. It really doesn't cut no matter how much of a heavy load you use. And it's sewn by a bunch of military manufacturer guys, so it's not going to tear apart. So it'll hold a lot. We've tried to do some stuff into the recreational avenue. Bikes and skateboards, rollerblades, that kind of stuff. They're certainly useful for that. Interestingly, if anybody's ever tried to skateboard, or if you had a kid that skateboards, 75% of all fractures happen in the first week. And that's because the kid falls off the skateboard, right? With this configuration, he doesn't fall down unless you let go of him, right? But, sorry. So he doesn't fall down, right? So he's not scared to ride the skateboard. He feels what it's like to actually go fast or how to push and feel the turns and stuff. And if he does fall, guess what? You're right there, right? And you can slow his descent or even just completely stop a fall. It saves you $200 for your copay at the ER, just like that. The bike is a similar kind of setup where if anybody's ever tried to teach their kid how to ride the bike, man, once those training wheels go, you're like this. This is very uncomfortable when you're running very quickly. So the idea with the harness is you've got control of that torso, and you can stand vertically, and you can run right next to him, just in a normal, natural motion that you would do. And if the kid goes off the bike can keep going, and you can either hold on to him, I can hold my kid in the air, or you can just gently lower his descent. My wife has used it, and she's not a giant person, so she can just lower him down to the ground, and it's able to be very functional that way. So it's a patented design. We have a full utility patent. It's not just a design patent. We got everything we really asked for. So we have a full design there. It is manufactured in St. Louis by a military company that does a bunch of stuff. Their gear is all over the world, so that thing's not coming apart. We have international distribution both in Canada and Australia. We'd love it to be everywhere, but right now we've got people just doing stuff for us in Canada and Australia. The pediatric neurologist and the therapist at St. Louis Children's do prescribe it to their patients. So when people come in from all over, they actually have a special clinic, the cerebral palsy clinic, and so they'll actually write specific prescriptions for people coming in. We've got them in Mayo and Cincinnati Children's and that kind of stuff. So those are up there, and then the therapists like to use them as well. And then we do, this is exciting for us, we have an independent graduate level research project that they just concluded. That is the current issue of Pediatric Physical Therapy that has been out like 5 days now. And our harness is in there with their results and stuff. And they're actually going to present that at an expo here in about 2 weeks that we're going to go to. So we've got independent results that show it actually works. Our next steps, our 3 big next steps, really mass mailing to the 4 states with the largest school districts. Our school districts have been our biggest purchaser. They really have. I mean, the product retails for around $200. So independent individual therapy offices have a harder time doing that. If they have a big budget, typically school districts do, they certainly can purchase things. So California, Florida, Texas, and New York are the 4 biggest states in the country. We're going to do Missouri. We live in Missouri. We got to do Missouri. Right? But we're going to send those out. We kind of were waiting until the first quarter was over, so everybody's in a routine. They know what's going on, and then they'll be more likely to look at the mailings and stuff. To get the independent people, there's a thing called a HCPCS. It's a healthcare common procedure coding system. That's what your doctor writes down if he wants you to get like a brace or crutches or stuff. It's a code that insurance will then pay for it. So we've looked through ours, doesn't really fit into those specific codes, so we're going to apply for our own code. And we should get that ideally in mid-2016. And once we get that, then insurance will be able to cover it, and we'll actually get a much broader exposure other than just the school districts and stuff. And then the Pediatric Expo that we kind of talked about is coming up in 2 weeks. So we'll have our research there, our manufacturers will be there, we'll be there, so it should be kind of good for us. That's really all I got. Thanks for your time. If you guys have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear them.
There you go. Chris, I'll open it up here. I want to know more about you. You're quite a busy man. What in your past or continued experience with what you do externally has led to your harness here?
Well, I don't sleep a lot, so I'm always thinking about stuff. But no, I've been in the military for 25 years. I'm a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force right now. But I used to do sling load operations in the Army, so we would wear harnesses and we would hang loads from below the helicopters and tie them all up and do stuff. So I'm pretty comfortable with the harness stuff. I've gone rock climbing, rappelling, I go skydiving, so again, I'm used to harness work. And I know what's comfortable and what's not. When we did the design, you don't really want tight webbing, it cuts. I mean, some of your backpack stuff is kind of too skinny and it's uncomfortable. So you want at least the 1.5 inches. That's kind of the magic number. Too wide and it's kind of bunchy, and too narrow and it hurts. So you want that kind of that sweet spot where it's comfortable, it's supportive, and you can just kind of dangle off of a mountain or hang from your parachute in a nice, comfortable way. So the harness work, I've kind of got that. And then medically, I'm good with anatomy, right? We have to know anatomy. And I designed this so that it really wouldn't be restrictive in any way. It totally fits, and you can use all your arms, legs, pelvis, head, neck without any restriction, but the person is still right there to hold on to you if you need that. So you're fully functional and capable to do anything. The guys at CrossFit were like, we could do an entire workout with this thing on. Like, we can't. So they don't have to take the thing off to go through transitions and stuff.
Who would be the ideal individual or person for your product?
Boy, that's a good question, because it fits so many industries. Dr. Granger put it on her dog. So it actually works well for the dog. No, I had a buddy that we were looking at that for hunting, getting the dog up out of the water into the boat. Right.
Oh, okay.
It really fits the dogs too, so it does that. I mean, I was looking at tree stands. I mean, for hunting, you're not going to come out of the tree stand if you're up there with that thing on. We've got lanyards that attach that. Right now, though, I mean, close to my heart, obviously, is going to be the special needs community. I'd like to get it into athletics as well. I mean, if you can attach that up for football, hockey, we had the Jordan Valley guys were using it here in town at the Medicom, I guess, ice rink. And they just grabbed a kid out of the stand, slapped it on him, and off she goes ice skating without hitting the ground and stuff. So, I mean, he loves it for hockey training and stuff. The hard part is it fits in so many categories. I know I have to pick one, and that's what's hard for me.
Tell me about manufacturing. You've got most of this done here in the States?
Yeah, so initially I looked at rock climbing manufacturing because that's what I know. I talked to some skydivers and they weren't too interested. They just wanted to jump out of planes and make parachutes. But the rock climbers were actually kind of interested in it. And so we initially did it out east, and then they got more government contracts. And so then I worked with these guys up here doing some medical support. So I got into the St. Louis manufacturing, and they just make it all up there. The great thing about it is it actually is local enough that I can drive up there. If a unit is jacked up, I can go fix it, or they'll just fix it like that. They'll take smaller quantity orders for us, and they do a bang-up job on it. We've priced out, I've looked at China. We've got, $5 to make the unit in China, but they want like 10,000, 20,000 units, and we don't have that many orders going on. We looked at Korea, and they wanted 15,000. But after you do container costs, shipping, insurance, maybe it shows up on the coast and maybe it doesn't, and then trucking in, it really is very similar, actually, maybe a few dollars more.
That's good to hear.
Do you have any clients that are using this in physical therapy clinics?
Yeah.
It seems like it might be useful for fall risk patients.
Yeah, we do actually. I mean, that's what we have a big, like when we go to this expo, it's the Pediatric Physical Therapy Conference. We always get a bump after the expos. We went to the combined section meeting, which is the biggest one kind of in the country, and we've got a big bump there too. So they do have them. There's a lady down in South Carolina that loves them. I mean, she's showing them, sending out pictures and stuff. So they are actually used in therapy. Our building uses it for therapy. I've got some in St. John's. Or Mercy, I've got some in their clinics and stuff here in town. It's great, actually, from a gait belt standpoint, if you use the big person one, this is a much thinner, lighter weight. It's for athletics, but it's also great for little old ladies and old dudes with skin, thinner skin. So, but it'll actually fit in. It solves your gait belt problem. I mean, if you look at a gait belt, it's 10 times the cost of a gait belt generally. But the gait belt, if you grab them here and they go down, they go head first, right? And they just hit the ground. But if you have them up here, you've actually got them like in a 6-inch little window. I mean, even a big guy, if you can keep him right about here, he doesn't hit the ground. I mean, if the guy's going down there, he's just going down, right? I mean, how are you going to hold him? It's just physics. You just can't keep the guy up. So, but if you can keep him here before he goes down, he's not going to hit the ground. It's great for transitions in and out of the bed and the wheelchair and stuff. So we do have it in some therapy offices, but I'd love to get it in all of them.
So how many sizes do you offer, or do you do customized orders?
No and yes. So we have 2 sizes, no customized orders, and because you don't really have to. This thing, so the 2 units, the small one actually will adjust down to about a 2-year-old, really up to about an adolescent. I made it that way because I didn't want to make a bunch for my daughter, so I made one. And it actually will adjust fairly well. In the hands of a therapist, a 2-year-old, probably in the hands of a standard person, we tell them 3 just because your liver's over here and your spleen, and if they jerk the kid, I don't want it to kind of go up into their liver and their spleen. But this thing will actually expand about to a 300-pound individual, and the webbing will hold him for sure. And it will shrink down. There's a lot of extra webbing, but you can get about a 5 or 6-year-old on this one. The younger kids tend to like the thicker weight, though, for the increased proprioception, the increased input. So they typically like the heavier weighted ones, and the adults tend to like the smaller. But I got 2 to adult out of 2 sizes.
Speaking about moving into the education markets, how are you selling? Are you selling a lot of them at bulk? And then on top of that, how do you overcome the fact that most of the time they're budgeting for the next year's purchases, whereas if you were to market to them now, they wouldn't be purchasing for 12 or 18 months?
Yeah, so that's tricky, finding where a different organizations budget into the advance. We're just going to send it out all at once. I mean, when they come to the expos, oftentimes we'll offer them a lower price at the expo, so they'll get them and take them right there. But then they'll call us. I mean, it just kind of rolls on through the months. They just kind of keep getting them. So I haven't yet figured out. I've called and go, when do you guys budget? I don't know. They don't have a good answer for me. It's just all year long. So generally, I figure at least if it's a future sale, it's a sale, right? And then it gets in there and it gets the kids. I have a lot of therapists. We've tried different pricing structures for it. We even lost money at one of the expos just to try and get some out there initially. And then, but they'll buy them out of their own pocket just so they have them for their kids, so they know that they actually have them. And we had a lady, she had a 3-year-old little patient that had an inoperable brain tumor, and she just couldn't stand at the play table with her friends, and so the therapist bought one for her. And she's like, I can do it myself. She was so excited she could play with her friends and stuff, So sometimes they'll just buy them too.
I work or volunteer outpatient at Cox North, and have you approached our major hospitals here, Mercy and Cox?
I've called over there, and I haven't gotten a whole lot of good feedback. I mean, I've even called Walter Reed. I mean, I should be able to, that's not with Bethesda now. And so generally, unless you show up and you have, and you're in with the guys purchasing, it's really kind of tricky. But I haven't got any feedback or anything from Cox, or if you want,
I'll try and get you contact.
That'd be awesome.
How's that?
That'd be great.
Hey, Chris, can you tell us a little bit about the management of this company and how you guys are allocating resources towards just uninsured wingman from Genius Happens, and how you're allocating time and choosing how much to allocate towards just this product and company?
So really, we're all self-funded. I mean, we pay for everything ourselves. There's about 10 of us in our company, and we've all done okay in life, And so we kind of put the money together to fund the projects, and we sit down and look at different projects and what we like and what we think we want to do. We try and put out a couple of projects each year. Some are good and some not so much. And we tried to get in one into Bass, we put some allocations in Bass Pro, and it was kind of, so we kind of put it to different resources and stuff. So we just kind of fund what's going. This one it needs to be out there. I mean, this product really needs to be out there to help a lot of kids. So we've been shuttling most of our stuff into that one, and we've still been creating all the ideas and building up the other side of it. And so when an opportunity arises, then we can jump on that and do that. But we do have limited resources because it's just us. So that product's out there, and we get orders, we take care of it. Anything else that comes up, we decide if we want to put money into it or not, and then we do.
Tell me how you arrived at $200. And is that a price that has gone over well in your market?
Depends on the market, right? So we initially started off, it runs us about $50 to make the thing, really. I mean, that's about how much it actually costs, whether it was the East Coast guys or these guys here. So we went to an international bike exposition. We thought the retail side would be a good side to get a much broader exposure, and they thought we were crazy asking $50 for that. So they thought a $20 price is fine. So, which I can understand that. I mean, if you're seeing something in Walmart, I mean, if it's $50, and this is a product you actually almost kind of have to see to understand it. I mean, if it's just hanging on the shelf, you may or may not just kind of grasp it. Interestingly, women just get it. When we went to that expo, they just all like, I get that thing, I totally get it. And some of the guys were like, yeah, whatever. So the women get it right away. And so the price point, if we could get it lower, like on the retail side, we wouldn't need to go to China or Korea or something to do that. We tried bumping it up a little bit so we could at least make some money on it. But the amount of time it takes when you go to the schools and stuff to just become a vendor, Jason knows for sure that just the amount to become a vendor for a school takes a lot of time, a lot of paperwork back and forth. It just wasn't worth just $100. We tried that too, and it was just too much effort for $100. So we bumped it up to $200 to actually cover the cost of time and that stuff. And then I've been working with the guy over at Bach Medical Supply a little bit. We've been talking about the ultimate price for it. To get that HCPCS number, the government takes a significant portion off of your product. So it's like you really honestly need to retail it almost higher, way higher, if you want to get just $200 for it when you go to go to insurance. So we have to figure out a pricing strategy for that when that actually goes through to it.
Could you explain the marketing campaign for the mailers you talked about, that 4-state campaign? What made you come to that conclusion, and if you have other marketing plans moving forward to support maybe a follow-up to that or other advertising mediums that you might be looking towards?
So we looked at print advertising. We've done a couple of things, like if you know what hippotherapy is, it's horse therapy. And they love these things because they can grab all the kids everywhere. So we've done some print stuff in that. It was hard to tell how much feedback we got. We sold a ton of them at that expo. Our expos have really been our biggest marketing jump that we do. We see huge bumps after that. The schools, we looked at what our biggest market is, like who's buying our harnesses, and that's where they are. And a lot of the expos, like you need to go to this school. These schools will be able to do it. One guy's like Texas. And when we sat down and looked at the number of schools in which states, those 4 states have the most amount of schools in the country. So for bang for our buck, that's going to be our best route there. Usually it takes 3 mailers to get anybody to look at your mailer, 3 of them. So if we start now and we hit them every quarter, I figure hopefully by the end of the school year, somebody will have looked at the mailer and think, hey, that might be a good idea. It's cheap. I mean, there's a lot of mailing companies right in town, so we can do that. We can get that done here and see how that goes. The rest of the stuff, that's partly why we're kind of here too. I mean, social media would be a great marketing thing for this product, I think. I think it would be, it's a good story. It's a true story, so it's even a better story. But it's actually, if we can get into some of the websites, but I have no idea how to do social media. I don't have a Twitter account, no Facebook account. People call me at work or they come to my office if they want something. I just don't know how to do that stuff. And I don't know what I would do if I started it. How do I follow up with it? Because I got 20 different things going on. But I was born way before the millennials, right? So that's not. I just don't know how to do that.
Question. Good product, man.
Thanks.
Have you reached out to any other organizations like the Autistics or NS?
I've got a few patients that do that. I've called. I have a kid that has autism. They hung him up on a hook. I know that sounds bad, but here, think about it this way. So this is a ceiling strap, right? So they can attach them for, if they're on the treadmill, they can do that, or a bike. You can do it at home and you can independently do it. But you also can take that and it goes right through it'll hook him like that. And then she just hooked him up onto a ledge up on the wall. So he just kind of hung up here like this, and he could just kind of relax into it, and they cinched it down tight. If you look at a compression vest for autistic children, they're $10,000, some of them. So, and that's just to provide sensory input. With this thing, I can get almost the same sensory input on that kid for $200. And it's not restrictive, right? And it's not hot at all. So it'll go out inside big clothing or tiny type stuff. So yeah, we have kind of talked to some of that. I've called a lot of adaptive centers. I've called some of the autistic places and stuff too. We're just not big enough or have, I don't think, enough exposure maybe. And I don't know. I mean, maybe I need to just give them a bunch, and you know what I mean, and see how that goes. But yeah, we have kind of tried to make some inroads into that as well too. It works great. I mean, the heavier weight webbing, this probably isn't as good for proprioception, right? So as a lot of autistic patients age and get older, we may need to make a heavier weight, large size for the bigger people.
That's really impressive. I'd like to ask you our final question, but it sounds like there's a lot of things that you need. So in addition, what can we as a community do to help you? I'd like to open the audience's ears that these are gaps that you guys can really help him fill. I know that there's people in the room that know the person that he needs to be introduced to, or there's some millennials who are social media specialists or online specialists that I think Chris is very maybe some that are on the Twitter feed now that Chris is very open to receiving help.
Yes.
So how can we as a community help you?
So the social media would be nice. That would be really good. I don't, even just helping me do it, I don't even know how to do all that stuff. And marketing, I mean, you know, bang for your buck would be good. We think that the mailing campaign will probably start to help out. Print ads, if we can get that going, that'll be fine. But probably the social media would be one of the biggest parts of that, and then just general marketing.
I just wonder, one of the biggest issues is we don't have repeat customers. And most school districts buy one or two because they only have one or two occupational therapists per district. So getting our name out to a school district in Texas, one school district doesn't help us anywhere else. It's not a repeat customer, it's not something that's passed down by word of mouth. It just doesn't happen. So we sold 300 plus of these, but it's all individuals who love it, but we just can't get the word of mouth out. It just doesn't happen. It's not a mainstream product that everybody wants or needs. Very specialized.
Well, and part of the reason they only need one is probably my fault, because I designed it to be so expansive. Right, I mean, it can expand and contract and take care of one person. So we'll have a therapist in South Carolina. She's got a large and a small, and she can take care of her whole practice generally with a large and a small. So, I mean, there's about 150,000 people in the country with movement disorders, right? I mean, there's 10,000 just with CP.
Have you gone to after your active military command?
Yeah, I've called out to Bethesda trying to get it into the therapy and the training. And again, I think I need to show up with a guy that's one of the purchasers. I mean, that's kind of how the military works. I mean, they'll spend lots of money, but you got to talk to the purchasers. Yeah, I mean, you can't talk to the command; they don't care.
And are you open to taking on capital? And if so,
yeah. So investment would be great. I mean, we are self-funded, and just enough to get us up to whatever we needed. If we could get the marketing and the exposure, then we could get those larger orders in China if we had to, or even just do it here if we can charge the higher price and then get those orders done. So to cover those larger costs, yeah. I mean, no one's unhappy about investments. We're even looking for just the Genius Happens overall to start with that, because we have hundreds of ideas, honestly, no joke. That we're trying to kind of work through. But it kind of feels like if we can get just over the hump, get that one just to really go, then it kind of will get kind of rolling on. And that's what seems to be the tricky part. Well, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris and Dawn. Great presentations. And there's one thing we definitely have here is people that can help you with social media. So I see several out there. Is everyone here getting our newsletter? Maybe. We typically send that out on a weekly basis. Don't be like me. As a co-founder of this event, I just thought all this stuff was supposed to come to me, right? I'm going to see it. So I kept complaining to Devin and Chad, these younger geeks I hang out with, and they just kind of looked at me until I finally realized I have to register out here, or I have to go to our Facebook, thank you, or our website. So, please, if you would like to get our weekly newsletter, which tells you what's going on in the 1MC community and who's presenting, please go to one of those 3 sites and register. Also, as everyone knows, we're constantly looking for companies that will get benefit out of presenting here. So if you know someone, please forward them to myself, to Chad, to Devin, so we can follow up with them. So again, we're going to do this next week, same time. Thank you for attending.